Kia ora koutou, I'm Donald Hollingsworth and welcome to Takatāpui Talk. Today on our podcast, I'm joined by the wonderful Jade Dayna Kanara Mills, a Māori Whakawāhine whose story spans resilience, love, sisterhood and community. Jade speaks openly about growing up, leaving home, finding her chosen whānau, surviving through sex work, and building a life with a man she has loved for 30 years. This is a frank conversation that touches on identity, belonging, and survival. But above all, it's Jade's story in her own words, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Here's Jade. Kia ora, Jade. Jade Mills, thank you for being with us tonight. Jade, you've lived through so many chapters in our community before visibility, before acceptance. How are you really doing tonight?
Exhausted. It's not even Friday yet, you know, it's only hump day. It's only the middle of the week and I've already had enough. I was walking out of work today, turned the phone on mute. So no, I can feel it vibrating, but...
We'll start at the beginning, if that's okay. Where did your story begin? Tell me about your upbringing and your whānau.
Ko Pangaru te maunga, ko Hokianga te awa, ko Ngāti Tāmāra te hapu, ko te Rarawa toku iwi, ko Tamatea te marae, no motu te ahau. My ancestors are from the Hokianga, deep in a small village called Motuti, which is just before Pangaru. And that's where my dad's from, my dad, Pounamu Rawiri Kānara. And my mum, she's from a small place called Ohawai, over in Kaikohe, close to Ngāwhara.
Okay, yes.
Yep. And that's where my whānau are from the far north. I was born in a small village called Raupunga, which is outside of Wairoa. My dad, he worked on the railways back then, and we were living down in Raupunga at the time, and that's where I was born in Wairoa Hospital. My parents travelled quite a bit for mahi and dragged all us kids around with them. I'm the youngest. Well, I was the youngest. My mum and my dad had my younger sister, Tracy, and so I'm not the youngest anymore.
Oh, when did that happen?
When I was 16.
Oh, how did you feel about that?
Great. Yeah.
Oh,
great.
so you weren't just the babysitter? Because, you know, you had your own baby.
And that too. I felt great about it, but luckily for me, I was off and, you know, left that to my older siblings to deal with.
What was it like growing up in Wairoa at that time for you?
It was all about whānau. In the small village that we lived in. You blink, you miss it. I think it's still like that nowadays.
Absolutely.
After I was born, a few years later, we moved up to Pukekohe, where my mum, her mother, had bought a home in Puke. Back then in the 70s, it was very rural.
Yes.
Grew up there, went to school there.
So what was life like in Pukekohe at the time? An environment where it was a suburb where they were growing lots of food, right?
Pukekohe has always been known for the gardens.
Yep, correct.
And if you travel in and out of Auckland South, they're very renowned for their gardens.
Yep.
And so that's pretty much Pukekohe.
Did your mum work in these gardens?
No, my mum worked in a factory.
Okay.
She was a factory worker. Then as we started to get older, then things sort of changed in terms of working locations. They had to travel even further because everything was closing down because it was a rural town.
Did you feel seen at that time, or did you find your own way?
I suppose I ended up finding my own way.
Yeah.
But like a lot of whakawāhine sisters, we all ended up finding our own way in terms of finding our identity, finding our clique. It's a huge journey, when you really think about it.
Yeah, especially in that period too, when you're a child, and you're going from 5 to 15. Even when you're moving into puberty, you're still really got to sort of find your way. Did you see yourself as different? How were you being treated?
Absolutely saw myself as being different from my whānau, my extended whānau. There was no one like myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally, yes, yeah. And that's how you feel at the time. You're the only one. That's how it feels.
It was a real challenge to navigate your way because you're only in your early teens.
Yes.
But you already knew that you were different even before then. So now it's really coming to the crunch. Growing up, you really had to sort of look inwardly, even though you wanted to fit in, with all your relatives, and it just didn't work.
No, because you just don't. You don't feel, you're trying really hard. It's almost like, I was in a situation myself, and I talk about this a lot, where people were constantly questioning me. Why do you talk like that? Why do you walk like, why, and I didn't know. I used to start saying, this is my God-given voice. God gave that to you. And I said, well, somebody did, because I was a very effeminate boy, and you do feel really lost and alone.
I went through some very dark moments. As an example, it really started to sort of become obvious to me.
Yes.
Once you get past the standard 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you go into Form 1.
Yes.
Form 2, which is intermediate. Yeah. So I really started to see it then. I didn't really want to grow up because I enjoyed primary. Yeah.
We're also quite androgynous as primary children too.
Yeah.
I certainly
so it was easy to blend in, So it was around about Form 1, Form 2, leaving primary school, going to intermediate, and then, it really starts to hit you that, you are different. Yeah. Other kids treat you so much differently to the point where I ended up, back then we had term 1 and term 2, and these were split down the middle, right? I think in Form 1, the first year of intermediate, I ended up going to school for about a couple of weeks.
Right. Yeah.
And then I ended up wagging school.
Yeah, of course.
It was easy to sort of slip through the gaps back then. And then the second term, I only went to school for about a week. Did that again in Form 2.
Did they care? Teachers?
No, no.
There was no one going to see mum and dad?
No, no.
Because I appreciate mum and dad were working very hard. They were providers. Yeah, that was that time. We didn't have parents that stayed home.
No. And the difficult thing back then was because you're going through so many internal battles within yourself, and you don't know what they are because you're only a kid. Yeah. So you end up, going into some very dark places that you really don't know how to deal with those emotionally. Especially up in here.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So dark that those sort of parts we tend to not think about or dwell on anymore.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But I do understand what you're saying. It broke it down by saying it was a very dark time, so it was very difficult. And it stays that way for years, 2-3 years, doesn't it?
And it seemed like forever.
Forever, yeah.
It seemed like forever that you're having to question yourself over and over again. Yeah. But in the same breath, you're loving this, you're loving the hair growing long, you're loving that at that age you look, very feminine. But there's no one there to tell you what's that.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah. And because there was no guidance in terms of that, there was no word for it. There's no kupu for that. They all thought that you were just homosexual or, and saying, you're that. And you think you're thinking to yourself, I'm thinking to myself, no,
No, I'm not that.
Yeah, but how can I have such lovely hair? And, you know,
I love that, yeah. How come
you
I
know
can
what I
be
mean?
so pretty? Like,
Yeah, it can't be right. Can't be right. And so that word.
You know, I grew up in the 70s and I had no influences. There was no RuPaul's Drag Race. There were no drag queens on television. And if there were, there was Diamond Lil. I was like, well, I'm not that, but I love the look of it. And then I think I saw Are You Being Served? Do you remember the camp men that were on that? And I was like, well, I think I'm that. And I'd really like to work in a department store, but I'm 8, so I can't, I can't move into a department store because I sort of thought, well, there's somebody there that is similar to myself. It's that era that we had because we didn't have anything at that time to sort of influence or get us excited even. I don't think I saw The Wizard of Oz until I was 10, and that's when I discovered Judy Garland. But that was only to have music and song, and I was so attracted to that. And I hear you. This is where our generation is quite different to the generation today because there are some good influences out there so people can be themselves, but we didn't have any of that. So, of course, we're going to get dark, aren't we?
Exactly, because we don't know the language. If there is language, it's
what
very
is it?
derogatory.
Oh, that language, yeah.
And if there is language for it that sort of encapsulates that, it's very negative, very blessed these days,
yes. Yeah. Where did you find safety in that time then?
I ended up running away from home.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I was definitely different and that I wasn't going to find the answers at home. They introduced me to these young queens that were like me, right? But I didn't know that until I actually met them. And then I realized,
that's how you found other people like yourself, the other street kids.
On the streets.
Did you look after them?
Oh, we were all around the same age group. We were all rejected by our families because they didn't know the terminologies, they didn't know. So we all sort of found each other, which was amazing. And then it's like you gravitate. It's like the universe is pulling you, or guiding you, should I say, guiding you, and before you know it, you start to come in contact with people that resonate with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember those people too, when for myself, 15, and meeting other whakawāhine, but I didn't know them as whakawāhine then. I knew them as sort of transistors, and so, which they still are today. And that was an incredible influence on me too. They really, really were. And I just loved them.
I ended up meeting my clique, my sisterhood, when I was living on the streets, had runaway street kid, came in contact with some local sisters who were in the process of transitioning. And then next minute, we all would end up gravitating to one of our sisters, Tracy, her place. She was living out in the shed because she was living with her mum. And we'd all turn up. And then we'd all get dressed up. We'd try on different outfits. Yeah. And then, boom, we decided that we were going to go to the nightclub, right? So there's about half a dozen of us, all Māori.
Yes.
And, we all high heels, mini skirts, the words, and we all ended up going to this nightclub in Aotearoa.
Oh, Otahu.
Yeah, in Aotearoa called Club something. I can't remember. Casper's,
okay.
Casper's out in Aotearoa. And for us, that was, that was huge.
Yeah, of course. Because you also got in, because you would have been, 16,
Yep.
Yeah, getting in was everything.
And then we thought that we were supermodels.
Yeah. Well, you were.
And that we just think the best thing since sliced bread because we got into this nightclub and it probably was real seedy as.
Yeah, totally. Once for Warriors CDs.
Yeah, probably was really, but we thought it was bright lights, big city, and and so we had a great time, and that's where all of that sort of learning about the rore and learning about cracking it and learning about survival, learning how to survive. And that's where you learn a lot. That's where a lot of us learn our skill set in terms of perception, in terms of reading body language, in terms of, so there's so many different skill sets that you pick up, from living the streets.
So talking about cracking it, do you remember your first client?
Oh,
I won't speak gibberish so that people understand what we're talking about. Did you ever remember?
So to whoever's listening, we all ended up having in the circles of Takatāpui and Whakawāhine, we all had this language. We all had this language, and we all spoke the language, and it was predominantly Māori that had that skill set of having a conversation, but not using actual words that you learn, English words. You twisted it, right?
Yes.
So you came up with your own language, and we all used it, and we all understood what the words meant. Slangs, I suppose they call them,
and sounds too. The sound.
Correct.
And we
the
always
tones,
react to
the
the tones.
tones, and so that's really interesting. But yet, my first client, far out. No, I don't remember my first client. It's just a little while ago.
Yeah, of course, my darling. Yeah, I know. And I'm glad he wasn't so. It wasn't that like you're like, oh, good, that's over. I've done that.
Oh, I'd say my first client was when I really just mentioned that. I'm glad that he wasn't that impactful. So my first client that I was cracking it was, and I was still a street kid, right? So we needed money.
Yeah,
So I started cracking it with this priest for the Catholic Church. So he was my first client.
Wow.
And I better stop there.
No, you don't. Yeah, exactly. But, for those sort of men too, you're quite special. We're really different. We're a beautiful color. We've got lovely teeth. You've got a beautiful smile. Really fresh. Yes. And quite, it's quite magical times. I was certainly with lots of sisters. When I think over the years being a hairdresser in Sydney, I've always looked after our sisters doing their hair. Especially in like the 90s when I was in Sydney, there was probably 4 or 5 trans sisters that I looked after that worked on the Straza, which was William Street in Sydney. And I would see them 2 or 3 nights a week to give them Bridget Bardot hairdos. They were so professional, but those clients never touched their hair. Don't touch my hair,
Don't go anywhere near
don't touch my hair.
Touch anywhere else.
But not my hair. and really quite and impactful for me, because I was able to look up to these beautiful trans women that were always my height, 6'4", 6'5", and in heels, even taller. And they were just fantasies. And that's certainly what the clients are looking for, this fantasy. And you would have been at that time, this fantasy to that priest. Times haven't changed.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it wasn't through saying no, you know what I mean? But just kept persisting. And those are just really weird moments that you only really, you read, you see stories of the church and how they have impacted not only through their colonizing ways or their missionary ways, but also through. Does that make sense? And
it does. No, I know where you're going with this.
It's spoken real.
It's a real thing. And these are our history, and this is our generation that we are ready to share so that we can create some understanding. And also at your stage in life, you made it.
I call it coming out the other end. We've come out the other side, so
she came out the other end.
Yeah, came out the other end. You go in one way, but the whole game is to come out the other side.
So you spent a lot of time on Karangahape Road, which we call the Rohe. What was that period like for you in your life?
So I'll tell you a little story about how I ended up getting up to Karangahape Road. So I found my clique, and we were all hanging out for a few years. We all flattered together.
Yeah. And
then Mama Tere caught wind of us with these young queens, South Auckland, all hanging out in or Tāhuhu and Papatoe Toy Hunters Corner, and all out there creating mischief, cracking it. And so she started hunting for us, right? And then next minute, she's coming over, interrogating us all. And then she started frequently coming out. And because we're young, we're creating mischief, getting up to no good.
You weren't run by anybody. You were just being yourselves.
And that's where the downfall, because, going out there being yourselves is all good, but, you got to have a bit of, control in there. And I hate that word, but there's no other way to describe it. So we started seeing her on a regular basis. And then one morning, there's a knock on the door, right? And we all look at, and everyone looks out their bedroom and sees that it's Tere's card, and everybody runs to their bedroom. And then next minute, you hear her walking down the hallway, going into the first room.
Well, she had quite a presence, didn't she? She had quite a presence, even outside the hallway.
She was hard, and all you heard was a,
oh, okay.
Right? And then next minute, walking down the hallway into the next room.
Oh.
And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't say, oh my goodness, she's coming down, she's going to end up in my room. And I thought to myself, I didn't think those words. I was thinking something a little bit more slang. But anyway, she walks down to and then my bedroom door opens. Right. And just when I thought that she was going to end up, right, she says, oh, darling, where's your makeup? Let's try some makeup on you. Oh, dear, I really like your hair. And, it's really good style. Hey, you kept doing this with it. And because back then in the 80s, I like quite street style, which would end up being inspired by punk rock. And then they sort of evolved into new wave.
Yes.
And I love that whole ripped clothes, big shoes, mohawk hairdos. Honestly, she had mohawk.
Wow.
And so Tere comes in and goes, oh, darling. And she started putting on this makeup and going, with that look, you need to have it a bit more, And she says, darling, I just want to let you know that you're not like these ones.
Okay. These are your sisters. What were you thinking? You were like, oh, am I prettier? Or like, what?
She says, darling, you're not like these ones. And then she says, oh, why don't I come and pick you up one night and I'll take you into the city.
Okay. No and fear, so right? You had no fear. You were all right.
Yeah, no, I said, all good. And then next week she says, oh, but when we go, you got to wear something, really, really zhoosh it up.
Yeah, just so, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll take you into the city, into Queen Street. And then next thing girl was, cracking it on just right in front of Myers Park.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she took you there. Yeah.
She took me there and she babied me for a few.
So that was her intention, to show you the ropes, I suppose?
Correct. Show me the ropes, but show me that, that you don't need to be out there when you can go there.
Yeah, there's better quality club irons when you're in Rohe in Karangahape, Queen Street.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, she was my first insight into quebecking it in the city. And, so she picked me up, every night for the next week. Take me into the city. And then one night she says, okay, now you can come in by yourself. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So, whānau, she wasn't pimping you. She was supporting you.
Guidance.
Yeah, she was guiding you. Sorry. Yes, that's right.
And supporting, because, we didn't have any guidance. We didn't have any support in terms of being young, transgender kids who all we wanted to do was just go out, have fun and be stupid.
Yeah, make some money so that you can go out and have fun. Nothing serious about it.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
for her, I felt that her presence, it definitely left some very positive memories in terms of guidance and in terms of being the older person showing the younger sister how it's done. This is how you have to do it.
Yeah. I think they call it being a mother now, don't they? You know, and you go into some
They do. They
houses,
call it like a mother.
Yeah, like a mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you move on from that world into the world that you're sort of living now? I mean, you know, there would have been a period where you were like wanting change, or did someone come and take you away from it, or did you just segue into? Did you get a job? Like, you know, like, do you remember?
I did actually. At that time, I probably was flatting.
Yeah.
Was flatting, and it was no good. You know, it was no good for the simple fact was that there was too much recklessness.
Yeah, of course.
When I look back on it, too much recklessness, too much have a good time, think about the serious things later on. You know. And then I ended up flatting. I ended up moving in with this gentleman, and we were together for 8 years.
Oh, okay.
He's passed away now.
Right.
And so we were together for 8 years. I think I was about maybe 20, in my early 20s when I met. Yeah.
So he was quite an influence.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. And then you were like, I've just had enough of that. I don't want to do that anymore. And do you remember your first job from the street?
Yes, I do. I actually ended up applying to be a receptionist for I don't know whether you call it a brothel or an adult entertainment.
Oh, well, that helps.
For a place called the Rack and Cape, which sort of catered for more creative
dancing,
more creative arts in terms of role play, in terms of
and you might call that an S&M house today, sort of thing.
Correct.
Wow.
So I applied for the job.
And this ad was in the Herald or something, like it was in the paper.
It was in the Truth.
Yeah.
It was in the Truth. So I went and had an interview, and they hired me. And so I would do sort of part-time work in terms of the reception. I cleaned to keep the kitchen clean. I'd write down the bookings, make sure to contact the mistresses and let them know how many bookings that they would have per shift. And I would take in sort of random customers, walk-ins they called them. And I'd end up dealing with those in terms of booking them in and introducing them to their mistress for the next hour or so. And it was great,
Was it camp? Were you having a great, you know what I mean? Were you having a great time? Did you?
It was interesting. It was really interesting. It gave me sort of something. It gave me consistency. It gave me a routine, which I really liked. At the time, I was on the unemployment, and you didn't get a lot on the unemployment.
$80 maybe?
Correct.
$40.
Correct. And then partnered with my partners, and because he was on the unemployment as well. So partnered with that. Things were at the beginning, things were very tight. I think we had one little chair that didn't have any base, so we had to use a bear crate to prop it up. And then
I love those times. I so know them.
So we made
do. We were quite innovative.
Very, very innovative.
Throw a fabric over it and it looked like a lounge chair.
I've got to show you something. Just stay there. These are things that these are like memories. Yeah. So I have this.
Oh, he's cute. So he's a little monkey.
I found him in an organic back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when I was flatting with my first partner.
And you've had it that long, you just can't let him go away. Because he represents a time, right? Has he got a rattle sound?
Oh, it's a little bell.
Oh, it's a bell.
Yeah. like garçon.
Casa, I love it. Oh, so that was, you had that in the, where you were working.
No, I picked this up on the side of the
Yeah.
road, and it's what they call inorganics when I was living with my first partner back in the early 90s, late 80s.
Incredible memories. I
and
would
I
have seen a lot of whare, your little bell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that
And,
as a representation of your time at that
yeah.
time,
And
because
the other thing is this.
your spatula. Wow. Which you also picked up at that time.
Which I also picked up on the side of the road in
Yes.
organics because
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
At the time, it had a handle, but I saw it and thought, I need a spatula.
Yeah, and there it was.
Yeah, because all we had were a couple of plates, a
Yes.
couple of knives, couple of forks, and
Yeah.
but no spatula.
No spatula for the eggs, to cook your eggs. I love that. I love that so much.
And I've had that ever since.
Yes. You can't let those things go away. It's real precious. I bet you still use it.
I do. That's the only one that I use.
I love how you moved from that time, and no one drew you. You weren't drawn. Sorry, you were drawn there, but no one was telling you can't be doing that. Don't be doing that. You were saying to yourself, I can get a job and I can take that job. And so I imagine with this role that you had, you were learning administrative skills. You were learning to talk to people in a professional manner, and you were dealing with men in that sort of way. And so, that would have taken you on to, it set you up. It transitioned you, so to speak, to these roles that you're doing today, which are much bigger, more operational based. And, you've run big companies, really, haven't you, on an operations side? But before we talked about that, the incredible career that you've had, I've had the honor of being, your civil union. So there's a wedding planner. So I was your civil union planner. And you had it up at Finale Restaurant and Cabaret on Karangahape Road. And we had all the queens do wedding songs and everything. What did that mean to you at that time? Because Helen Clark was in there, our Prime Minister at that time, and she supported us, clearly. So she introduced this civil union because they still couldn't handle marriage, could they, with us?
Correct.
What was that like for you at that time?
At that time, my husband and I were owner-drivers. We worked for big transporting companies throughout New Zealand. And what it meant to me...
Did you meet him across the car park? Did you make eyes across the car park? Did you? Or eyes? How did you lock eyes?
We knew each other before I actually... started delving into more respectable type of income earning.
Okay. Yeah? Yes, respectable.
Not saying that cracking it isn't.
No, of course not. But it was hard work, And
yeah.
Sometimes good, sometimes not.
Yeah. So we met through a friend, through a friend of ours, and we had been living together for X amounts of years before we decided to legally be able to marry in terms of civil union back in 2005, I think it was.
Yeah, it was
when the bill came out.
It was pretty close to the bill being pronounced.
Yeah, it was. It was like 2008, I think, and we were in full swing, working. I had been working for X amounts of years since 1999. Wow. And it was like 2008 that we got married, our civil union. And
whose idea was that?
It was my husband's idea.
Oh, wow. I love that.
When Georgina Bayer was elected MP for Carterton, he was the first one who comes and tells me, oh, look, you got to come and watch this because, she won the by-election. So come and watch it. Look, she's trans. And then next thing you know, oh, look, they passed this bill, the civil union, we can get married now.
How did it feel to stand and, and claim that relationship publicly, really?
It's something that you have to do, especially if you have a vision for your life and what direction that you want to take your life, coming from the history of, my life and people like me. If you get the opportunity, you take it.
And
take that opportunity. You don't waste it. You don't let
No.
it pass you by.
No, and just quietly, whānau, she's still with this lovely man.
This year will be 30 years that we've actually been together in terms of since we first met. So 30 years is such a long time.
Absolutely. That's a lifetime. And congratulations. I mean, that's so special, because everybody marks us with like, oh, that there's somebody else quickly, but not you two.
And we still argue like we were young, and we still argue, we still have disagreements, but we still care for each other in some very deep ways.
Do you have date nights?
Every weekend's every weekend's a date night to us. My husband enjoys cooking on the weekends and obviously having a tipple. So I've joined him in having a tipple, and we talk about things. And this is a weekend. That's our weekend because my life is a little bit busy.
Of course, yes, absolutely, in the roles that you do. So it's very important, isn't it?
To have the time to give the person that you care most about, to give them your time, and I still snarl and at him when he says, "Oh, hey, pay me some attention too."
Well, sometimes because you're paying lots of attention in the mahi that you do, that
Correct.
It's like I actually I'm not ignoring you. I just don't have anything left, I imagine.
And so I have to change that. I've got to change my mindset. I have to change the way that I present and turn up and come through for situations, and I've got to learn those boundaries, and I've learned those boundaries, and sometimes people don't react to those boundaries very well, but I explain to them, hey, this is why. You're just going to have something more important to me than
So you help create space for others. What led you to start Ahakoa Te Aha, which was, explain what that was for you at that time.
Ahakoa Te Aha was an idea that I had with Gemma Huriwai, my co-founder, and still my treasurer. It was an idea that her and I formulated. Ahakoa was created because one of our elders, or one of my elders, I would say that they're my elders, Natasha Allen, she ended up passing away. And I wanted to create something that had two aspects, right? So one in remembrance, one
for our
aspect
tangi, for our
correct, in remembrance in terms of an individual that held status, I'd say. And then the other concept was around bringing our Whakawāhine sisterhood a little bit more closer, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course. Especially our Māori Whakawāhine too.
And so Ahakoa Te Aha had started, we created that, and it's been going for like 12 years now. And in that, we as a community and as a community group, I approached Natasha's whānau and had that conversation around, Sippy, what?
I locked my door, so you can't come in here. Is that your Neru, your cat?
Yeah. Oh, he's a real talker too.
He wants to meet me.
You're a real talker, eh?
Oh, he's handsome. Oh, I love black and white cats.
Yeah, he's a real
beautiful.
Talker.
Yes.
And he's just hungry. He just wants a feed, but just have to wait. So When Natasha passed away, we created this rōpū. Now, this rōpū was picked up by NZAF, and Jordan will probably...
Yes.
Yeah, so Jordan was really instrumental in pushing for us to turn up and come through for organisations in Tāmaki Makaurau, Māori-based,
Yeah.
who needed tautoko in terms of openings, in terms of events, in terms of acknowledgements.
Yes.
And so
in our culture, pōwhiri.
Correct. Waiata, himene, karakia, whai kōrero. So we could pull on different aspects within our rōpū, within our kapa.
How many were in your rōpū? How many in your rōpū group? How of you at that time? You would have been going for it then.
I think there was like about 20.
20 of yous.
Yeah.
Oh, the impact would have been incredible.
And it was quite a...
Oh, wow.
It was quite a, and that motivated me, seeing our people.
The reaction from people? Yeah.
Seeing our people come through and turn up for these, willing to take roles, leading roles in terms of karanga, in terms of whai kōrero, in terms of waiata tautoko, in terms of kapahaka.
Because this is also this is inside us. It's how we were brought up, and we weren't actually ever shown. We just knew.
Correct.
Didn't we, really? That's certainly the way that a lot of Māori kids are brought up, especially of us at that time. We were meant to be mind readers. So it would have just been so natural for all of yous.
And it showed because, we'd have our set kaumātua, right? So we'd have our 3 kaumātua, okay, you 3. We'd have our kai karangas, okay, you do the karanga. Yeah. And then we had the rōpū as a whole who would do the waiata tautoko. Yes. And sometimes this would evolve into doing a bracket, of whakangāhau.
Yes. I'm going to request you from my tangi, not that I'm going to die tomorrow, but I'm going to request it. I'm going to put it in my will.
I think
whoever's alive.
I still might have some videos that I could probably forward you.
Oh, I would love to.
So that you can sort of see what we would go through in terms of a weekly sort of practice. And it was just seeing our community, our Takatāpui. Our Takatāpui.
Oh, the hui, yes. That you're
coming and turning up was enough for me to make me want to go, I want to make costumes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was part of my role, which was being a chairperson, and then also, and thank you to, and I'll quickly mention Jordan Robertson, Mahi Makiha, and Whati Te Wake, and then Sean Hind, Tangaroa Paul, they all ended up coming through. And so, that inspired me to, push myself, push my boundaries. Yes. Never picked up a poi before, but by the end of it, I was doing a whole poi. I was quite good at it.
Well, it's just because it's quite because it's our tikanga. It's a part of us, and it's like it would have been really easy, wouldn't it would have just come to you easily. I mean,
correct. And I ended up having this creative gene where I could create costumes for 30 odd people.
Yes. Yeah. And still have your full-time job and operation.
Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. They might try, especially they might try and push me to do more.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yes, because she can do so much.
But Ahakoa was very instrumental in paying for Natasha, who inspired the creation of Ahakoa Te Aha, paying for her headstone.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of approaching the family, having those very hard conversations, but in a respectful way, so that there's no offense, there's no, because what we want is a solution at the end. And the solution is the community want to to get or to gift a headstone, but if the family are accepting, we'd like to put these words on the headstone. So it was a whole toing and froing type scenario.
Yeah, because whānau is very important in Māori, Te Ao Māori, and
Correct.
you were her whānau, you were her urban whānau, I suppose.
Correct.
And then she had a whānau from home. Where was she from?
A small place called Kaiō. Kaiō, which is over by Piha and Bay of Islands, around that way. Yeah. So we ended up doing that, paying for. So we got her unveiled, which was great because the whānau, we were so appreciative of that burden, not so much a burden, but it gave them the space to also deal with other whānau members who needed to have headstones at the same time. So
and then also other whānau that may not have understood, Natasha's life and the people that came with her. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And so it would have become an easier blow, I suppose, for them.
Once you have the immediate siblings saying, then the children will have to take that on and go,
And they were all fine with it. Yeah.
And it was just about, it was about leaning in and having the ability to have those open conversations, like I said, without offending anyone, without, because that's not what we're about. What we're about is we're getting to the other side.
Yeah.
We're coming out the other end.
Yes.
That's the key. Yeah.
Do you feel things are better now or different?
I always thought that things were better for us as whakawāhine. It's just our mindsets, and it's just the way that we interact with society, and where we feel that our presence is valued, where our being ourselves or being who we are is not, we're not forcing it onto other people. We're not pushing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not pushing this whole non-binary bullshit onto people. We're not pushing this whole trans, this whole birth certificate, this whole passport. My feeds were getting, in the last couple of days, my Facebook feeds were getting chewed up and spat out with this whole Kate Jenner scenario, after she had her full change, her gender affirming surgery. Now she's moaning about how Trump is put M on her passport.
She knew when he got in. She knew when he got in. But why do you want to die over that? What does it really matter? You also voted for him, girlfriend. Not that she's my girlfriend, but you voted for him.
You did.
You voted for that anyway. And we have that here, with our New Zealand First. And it's like when they look at these things, and I say to people, don't worry about it. And you also got to understand whakawāhine and whakatāne too. As people, you don't want to be seen. You're
not
highlighting.
Like anyway. Yeah.
You're highlighting. We don't want to be highlighted. No.
We don't want the little spotlight go,
stop
look at that.
Immediately.
Yeah, tone it down.
Yes. Yeah, because we love to be toned, but when we're loud, it's when we're with each other. Yeah.
As when we need to be.
Yes. Yeah. It needs to stop. It needs to stop, Jade. I really believe that. I get so passionate about it too. It's like we don't need all these names and themes, and you are who you are.
And your pronouns and...
That's why I love the term Takatāpui, because, it can be an umbrella title for our people, and I believe everybody should embrace it. It's like American Indians, they call themselves Two-Spirit. Everyone embraces it, and it's beautiful and doesn't make it complicated. Being Indigenous, we're quite lucky that way. And, we were always a part of whānau and hapu, and we were loved and accepted, and it was looked as normal, whatever normal is. But it's colonization that had changed that for us. And so, you and I, when we're growing up, we were torn between colonization and the way that we were brought up, because I was nothing but accepted by my aunties. A lot of my male cousins didn't quite know what was going on, but it was nothing but acceptance and love and normalizing. If I complained about particular cousins calling me a name, they'd be like, "Oh, don't worry about it, boy. Come inside and peel these potatoes with me." So I got to learn some incredible home skills, and that's how it should be, because we don't want it highlighted, because unfortunately people pick us out.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the majority, 90 to 95% of the time, they don't pick you up for the right reason.
No, they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason why they're picking you out is because they want to target you. And that's all we've seen, is this whole targeting thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays you have all these different pronouns and you have all these different issues that are going on in terms of gender.
Yes. You are who you are. I am what I am. These songs.
As that song goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so true. So for yourself, I love talking about our history and so what does hauora look like for you now? How do you care for yourself personally? Like
I suppose it ends up being a multitude of, things that I do and practice to take care of myself. But for me, the first thing I do is to take care of my husband. Because if I don't take care of him, then, he's not going to take care of me. And we need to take care of each other, because we are the only two in our little whare that we have here.
Your universe.
Yes, he does have children and he does have grandchildren, but, we're quite happy just being together, supporting one another and acknowledging, the achievements that him and I have gone through, like the milestones. He just turned 60 late last year, took him over to Australia to see his new grandchildren and, to catch up with his kids. And he loved it. It was amazing. And it was amazing, but those are the sort of things that we do to sort of self-care. Obviously, there's those things like going to the doctors and being on the right medication if you have any ailments. But for me, and where I'm at now, is mainly just around taking care of each other, because, if I don't take care of him, then he's not able to take care of me. So it's like a symbiotic relationship.
Yes. And that's why it's lasted so long. Really, that's a very fancy word too, isn't it? I love that.
It is, eh?
Yeah, really good. So when you were younger, we'll just quickly go back to when you were younger. Did you imagine that you would be in a long-term relationship? Was that always did you imagine you'd be married?
Yeah, I always dreamed of having that relationship. I always dreamed of having that relationship and seeing that relationship embodied within my parents. So, like you see what you like, what you see, and then you mimic that almost. Yeah.
So you would see, it does make sense. Did you see your mum as a very supportive wife?
Oh, absolutely.
She adored your father. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even when he didn't deserve it.
Well, I know what you're saying, darling. Absolutely. I would have said that I say that about my father. Both my father and my mother have passed. And I thought that a lot of my mother's treatment towards my father, but he adored her. And, he adored her.
And that's what I love to see in those relationships like that. And hence, 30 years later, still,
to get that. Well, you're not, again, talking about, you're not told how to do this. You're not given a list and tick these things off. You watched it happen. So it becomes it becomes your natural way of being in your relationship now with your husband, and I do love that so much, and I love how it's very important to you that is your self-care. But it doesn't mean that you're giving anything up for yourself. It is yourself that's doing this, and it's a good leaf, to take out of your book, isn't it?
Oh, he gives me the room to be creative.
Yeah.
Because he knows that his wife is, there's something about it that's, that's a little bit different, and he gets that.
Yeah,
He gets
yeah.
it,
Yeah, but it's a
And I come up-
superpower, isn't it?
And I come up with some real harebrained ideas, right? And I'll be telling him about it, and he'll look at me and go, "Oh, yeah, okay."
And she's not even drinking,
No.
It just happens. Oh, this has been so good, Jade. I really, really love it so much. And I pressed record. So we've come to that time in our kōrero that I have with everybody where I ask, 5 fire questions that I'm hoping that you'll just sort of, come up, come up with a quick reply.
Yep.
One of my favorites is, what would you say to your younger self?
Oh, what would I say to my younger self is follow that dream, follow that dream. Don't be inside your head too much, because that can lead us into dark places, which, years later we learn how to deal with that part of our personality, but just really positive ideas in that head.
What brings you joy today?
What brings me joy? It's a good question. What brings me joy is to know that we have a roof over our head, that we have a bed to sleep in, and that we're able to eat it and fill our pukus up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Joy, because, we've come to this stage in our life. We've worked very, very hard for what we have, and we've earned every corner, every brick, every mortar. So to walk around and be really appreciative of something that wasn't given to us, it's only been from our hard work. And of course, it should only bring you joy, shouldn't it? Just it's perfect to describe it that way. I think I know what you're going to say to this one. Who or what has been your greatest source of strength?
Would be my husband.
Yeah.
He would be the greatest source of my strength. When we first started living together back in 1999, I remember,
Just a couple of years ago.
I remember at that time he was working for New Zealand Post, so he was a postie on a bike, and I'd drop him off at work. He'd get up at like 4:00 in the morning. I make him some breakfast. He'd shower, uniform, and then I'd take him to work. One morning when I dropped him off, we were chatting away in the car, and I knew that this is when shit was going to get serious. Yeah. So I dropped him off in the car, and then as he was walking into the office or into the warehouse at that time, I just sat there in the car and I was watching him, and I was thinking, wow, if he can do it, if he can get up that early in the morning and go to work from Monday through to Friday, and at that time he was working on a Saturday morning as well, if he can do it, why can't I do it? I want to do that too. I want to do that for him, because he's obviously doing that for me. So he inspired me to go and get a job.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how you moved into operations. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's incredible source of strength, really, isn't it? Because, being Whakawāhine, there's many stories, does she get a job? What sort of normal job can she get without being sprung?
Without your gender or your identity as
being questioned.
Correct.
Yeah.
Under the microscope. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that story, I'd love to sit down and tell you about it, because that story is like, wow.
I think this is another episode, your career, isn't it? Because we've just discussed your life and your childhood and such an important part. But your career there's layers and pages, you know. And I believe it's another episode, Jade. So, you know, that's my challenge to you. You know, a few months down the track, of course, but
yeah, of course.
yeah, your how do you put it? Your straight life in your career as a whakawāhine, because you weren't working in corporate, you were working in operations of a courier company.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Man-based.
Male-based.
Yeah.
It was dominated by the male gender.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just going to let my cat out.
You're right.
It was definitely a male-dominated area.
Yeah.
And so I really had to up my game in terms of not letting myself be getting out of my head, basically. You know, oh my God, am I good enough to be here? Oh my God, you know, being whakawāhine. Oh no, you know, they might judge me and ta-da-da.
You would have reverted back to your feelings when you were a teenage girl, wondering, what is this? How do I fit in? People are telling me so different. And that's why, Jade, it's another episode, which I love. So I'll just close with one last beautiful question, which is, what does a beautiful life look like to you now?
Choices, options.
Yes, because you've got them now, haven't you?
Correct. Yeah. Which a lot of us don't have, you know. Yeah. And when I say a lot of us, I mean, and I'm just going to be open and honest, which a lot of whakawāhine don't have. No. Or never had as growing up, and as, you know, we didn't have options. We didn't have, you know, we didn't have a lot of things.
And a lot of them still don't. And that's where, you know, this conversation that we've certainly covered a lot today, but it's also very, it's the makeup of a whakawāhine, you know, and cracking it, you know, a Pākehā word, prostitution, because what else would she do?
Exactly. You know,
but there are things, but you know, it's a tough one.
Are we willing to put our heads down and just get into it?
And ignore the noise.
And forget about the noise.
Forget about it.
And the noise is only coming from in here, you know.
It is, Jade. And that was just magical, our kōrero tonight. And I'm so grateful. I can't thank you enough. I always keep the ending really short so that, you know, we don't have to sort of go on. So, ka kite anō, and aroha nui.